Sometimes, the richest hearts are found in the poorest places. Stay with me, because what these two homeless twins did on a rainy night changed a billionaire's life forever. You're watching Black Inside 2.0, where true stories touch the soul. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join our family of hope and humanity. Rain poured down over the sleeping city, turning neon lights into rivers of color. Cars hissed across the soaked streets, their reflections trembling like restless memories. And in the middle of it all, under a flickering street lamp, two barefoot twins huddled beside a cardboard shelter. They couldn't have been more than 12 years old. Their names were Eli and Noah. The rain didn't bother them much anymore, it was just another part of the night. What hurt more was hunger, that quiet, aching reminder that tomorrow might look just like today. Still, the boys whispered jokes to each other, trying to turn misery into laughter. That was their secret power, hope, even in the darkest corners. Across the street, a black luxury car slowed near a restaurant entrance. From it stepped a man in a deep green suit, polished shoes, confident stride, the kind of man whose life looked perfect from the outside. His name was Adrian Cole, a billionaire entrepreneur who built his fortune from nothing, or so the newspapers said. He had dinner plans with investors that night, but as he stepped out, his wallet slipped unnoticed from his coat pocket. Rainwater carried it quietly down the gutter until it rested near the twins' shelter. Eli was the first to notice. He saw something brown caught in the water's path, thick leather, shining slightly under the streetlight. "Noah, look," he whispered. "It's a wallet." The boys looked around. No one else seemed to notice. They hesitated. For them, this was more than just a find, it was temptation and destiny wrapped in wet leather. Eli opened it carefully, his small hands trembling. Inside were crisp bills, more money than they had ever seen in their lives. A card gleamed under the light, Adrian Cole Enterprises. Noah swallowed hard. "We could eat for weeks," he murmured. "Maybe even find a place to stay." But Eli's eyes softened. "It's not ours, Noah. What if he needs it?" Noah laughed bitterly. "He's rich. He won't even notice it's gone." Eli closed the wallet firmly. "Maybe, but we'd notice, and I don't want to lose who we are." For a long moment, they just stared at each other, listening to the rain hit the pavement like ticking seconds. Finally, Noah nodded. "All right, big brother, let's find him." So, barefoot and shivering, they stepped into the street, following the trail of the luxury car's fading lights. They didn't know where the man had gone, but they noticed the restaurant, bright, expensive, filled with people laughing behind glass walls. The twins stood outside, soaked to the bone, watching the warmth they could never reach. Inside, Adrian Cole sat at a table with investors, smiling politely as they discussed profits and projections. He didn't know his wallet was missing. He didn't know that, just a few steps away, two children were about to redefine the meaning of wealth. Eli took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The warmth of the restaurant hit them instantly, a world of fragrance, chatter, and music. Heads turned, whispers spread. The maitre d' rushed forward, ready to send them away. But before he could speak, Eli raised the wallet with both hands. "Sir, someone dropped this outside." Adrian looked up, startled. His eyes fell on the wallet, then on the trembling twins holding it out. He stood slowly, confusion giving way to recognition. "That's mine," he said softly. He walked over, took the wallet gently, and opened it. Everything was there, every bill, every card. When he looked back at them, something in his chest tightened, something he hadn't felt in years. Adrian knelt down to their level. "You could have kept this," he said quietly. "Why didn't you?" Eli shrugged. "Because it wasn't ours, sir." Noah added shyly. "Mom used to say, even if you have nothing, you still have your name. We didn't want to lose ours." Adrian blinked. For a second, the noise of the restaurant faded away, replaced by a memory of his own childhood, of nights when he and his mother had counted coins in a broken kitchen and dreamed of better days. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The maitre d' stood frozen. Guests watched silently as rain dripped from the twins' clothes, pooling on the marble floor. Adrian's eyes softened. He had seen greed, betrayal, and ambition in the faces of powerful men. But what he saw now, two boys who had nothing, yet still chose honesty, it broke something open inside him. "What's your name?" Adrian asked gently. "Eli, sir, and this is my brother, Noah." Eli and Noah, Adrian repeated, as if trying to remember names that mattered. "Where do you live?" Noah looked down. "Nowhere really, sir, just around." A hush fell. Even the clinking of glasses stopped for a moment. Adrian nodded slowly, then turned to the maitre d'. Get them something warm, food, blankets, now. The maitre d' hesitated, then obeyed. Within minutes, the twins sat at a small table near the corner, wrapped in soft towels. Steam rose from 2 bowls of soup placed before them. They looked around, unsure if it was real. Eli whispered, "Do we have to pay for this?" Adrian smiled. "You've already paid me back more than you know." As the twins ate quietly, Adrian sat across from them, memories flooding his mind. He had been their age once, cold, hungry, invisible. He remembered his mother working double shifts just to buy him shoes for school. He remembered the day he promised himself that one day, he'd never be poor again. And he had kept that promise. He built companies, bought skyscrapers, owned cars he never drove and houses he never visited. But somewhere along the way, he lost the warmth that made him human. Now, staring at these twins, he saw himself again, not the man he became, but the boy he used to be. Adrian leaned forward. "How long have you two been on the streets?" Eli thought for a moment. "Since, after Mom passed. We tried to stay in a shelter, but it was full." "Any family?" They both shook their heads. Adrian's throat tightened. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card. "Here, this has my name. You can come to my office tomorrow morning. I want to talk." Noah's eyes widened. "Your office? Are we in trouble?" Adrian chuckled softly. "No, son, you're in luck." Next day, gentle sunrise over the city. The piano turns hopeful. The twins stood nervously outside the towering glass building marked Cole Enterprises. Security guards looked skeptical, until Adrian himself appeared at the door. "They're with me," he said firmly. He led them inside, past glittering floors and walls lined with art. Eli stared in awe. Noah whispered, "This place is bigger than a mall." Adrian smiled but stayed quiet. He led them to his office, a space filled with awards, photos, and a single framed picture of a woman. "That's my mother," he said softly. "She taught me everything I know about kindness. I lost her when I was your age." The twins looked at the picture. "She looks kind," Noah said. Adrian nodded. "She was, and she'd be proud of what you did." He paused, then added quietly, "You reminded me tonight of what really matters." He pressed a button on his desk phone. "Call Ms. Rivera," he told his assistant, "and tell her to get in touch with the Children's Outreach Foundation. I want full support, housing, school, clothes, medical checkups. Everything." Eli's eyes widened. "You don't have to do all that, sir." "Yes, I do," Adrian replied. "Because kindness deserves a home, and you two have earned yours." Noah blinked back tears. "We don't even know what to say." Adrian smiled. "Then just say thank you by growing into men your mother would be proud of." Music swells. Camera pans out of the office window to the city skyline. Weeks passed. The twins moved into a small but cozy apartment arranged by Adrian's foundation. They attended school for the first time in years. Eli discovered a love for drawing. Noah wanted to study engineering. Every Friday evening, Adrian visited them, not as a billionaire but as a friend. They cooked dinner together, laughed, and shared stories. Slowly, the twins filled the quiet spaces in his heart that money never could. One night, as they sat watching the rain through their window, Eli said quietly, "You know, Noah, sometimes I think Mom sent that wallet to us." Noah smiled. "Remember, maybe it's forgotten children. Maybe it was her way of telling us that being good still matters." Her voice lingered. Outside, when lightning flashed, the room felt with fear, but with Mara wiped her eyes. But the story had never seen her daughter look so alive. What Adrian did next would inspire millions. Her own eyes that one act of honesty can change the world. She said, "Weeks turned into months. You have just heard the rebirth of a dead quietly at first." Whispered among employees, then shared by news outlets, until the entire city claimed to know about the two boys who returned to Billionaire's wallet. Once filled with polite superiority, Cole didn't hide the story. Now bowed in awe to a child in a borrowed dress. One evening he stood on a wide stage at his company's annual conference. She said flashing, "Lights your daughter has a gift that may reshape our understanding of history." But for once, he wasn't there to talk about profits or progress. She only ever wanted to learn about people. He paused before the microphone. Eyes glistening as he said, "Is what built an empire chasing success." But two children were already what real wealth looks like. Notebooks open, voices buzzing with excitement. Gave me back something money could never buy. The prodigy linguist. Faith. Someone murmured. Behind him, the girl who spoke the lost lit up with a single image. Amara shrank a little, and Noah, overwhelmed, smiling shyly in their new school uniforms. Noticed and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. The audience rose to their feet in applause that lasted nearly a minute. Let the words
that
rest.
Night,
Adrian announced the creation of the Cole Promise
Eleanor led
Foundation,
Amara and
dedicated
Mara
to helping homeless children
near the
find
window.
homes, education,
Rain had
and
started
safety.
again outside.
He named
streaking
Eli
the
and
glass
Noah
with
as
silver
its first
lines.
honorary ambassadors.
Tell me,
The
Eleanor
next
asked
morning,
quietly,
every
how
major
do you
newspaper
understand
carried the
languages?
headline. Billionaire
Amara
inspired by two homeless boys starts global
they feel
children's
like
initiative.
stories that want to be
Reporters
heard.
flooded the twins'
professor
small
smiled,
apartment.
but
Then
Adrian
perhaps the
shielded
world
them
has
from the
been waiting
noise.
for you to listen. He wanted
Thunder
them to
rolled
stay who they
softly
were.
over the Thames.
Kind, humble,
The great
brave.
hall behind them hummed
You
with
don't know
renewed
the
life.
world anything.
Laughter,
He told
wonder,
them.
debate.
Just keep being
For
the
the
light
first
that you
time that
already
night,
are. Every guest felt
paths,
smaller in the
years
best
passed.
possible way.
Eli grew into a
Eleanor
young man
turned
whose
back to the
sketches
crowd,
turned into
her voice
scholarships.
rising once
He
more.
studied architecture.
This is why
dreaming
we
of
study.
designing shelters
Not
that
to know
felt
more
like
than
home,
others,
but to learn from
Noah,
whoever the universe
fascinated
chooses
by
to
machines,
teach us. Earned a degree in
Applause
engineering.
returned.
His
Warmer
first
now,
invention,
carrying
a portable
gratitude rather
heating
than
unit
pride.
designed for
Mara
street
held her
outreach
daughter's
teams.
hand.
Small,
cheap,
my
and
love,
life-saving.
she whispered.
Adrian
Knowledge
attended
doesn't
both
wear
their
gowns or
graduations.
titles.
Amara
When Eli
smiled
crossed
faintly.
the stage,
It just
he spotted
spotted
someone
Adrian
in
to
the
listen.
crowd and whispered
And
to
high
his
above
brother.
them,
The chandeliers
we made
flickered
it.
as though the
Noah.
stars themselves
And Noah
approved.
whispered back. The
No,
rain
we
continued
kept
long
our
after
name.
the guests had
One
gone.
rainy evening,
What had begun
almost
as a night of
exactly 10
ceremony
years
ended
after
as
the night
something
they
deeper.
found the wallet.
Hey,
The twins invited
quiet
Adrian
rewriting
to
of what
modest
everyone in
community
that
center
hall thought they
downtown.
knew about genius,
Inside,
humility,
children
and where
were
light
laughing,
can be found.
volunteers serving
Professor
food,
Eleanor
paintings
Voss
covering
sat
the
alone
walls.
near the dying fire.
Eli
the
stood on a
fragments of the
small
ancient
wooden
manuscript
platform.
spread before
We
her.
wanted to show you something.
The words Amara had spoken
said,
still
this
rang in
place,
her mind.
we built
Each
it
one
with the
echoing with a
foundation's
kind
help.
of truth that
It's
no
called the
textbook
Promise
could hold.
House.
A home
Across
for
the room,
anyone who needs
Mara
one.
folded table
Adrian
linens,
looked around,
humming softly.
speechless.
Her daughter
The
had
once
fallen
homeless
asleep
boys
on a
had
chair
become the
beside
heartbeat
her.
of a movement.
Her small hands curled
Tears
under
welled
her
in his
cheek.
eyes as he whispered.
Eleanor watched
You've
them,
given me
a
more
faint
than I ever
smile
gave
tracing
you.
her lips.
Eli smiled.
She remembered
You
her
gave
own
us a
childhood.
chance. Tutors,
Just passed it
libraries,
on.
endless
Later that
expectation.
night, Adrian stepped
Knowledge
outside.
had always been
The
something
rain
to
was
conquer.
gentle,
Familiar,
but what she'd seen
like an
tonight
old
was
friend
not
returning.
conquest.
It was
He
communion.
looked up at the glowing sign
She
above
rose
the center's
quietly
door
and walked
thought
over.
about that night so
Mara,
long ago.
she said,
two
"You
barefoot
should
boys,
rest.
one lost
It's
wallet,
late." And a
Mara
choice that
looked up,
changed everything.
startled to be addressed by the
He
professor.
realized that kindness
Yes,
moves like
ma'am.
water.
We'll be
Once
done
released,
soon.
it
Eleanor
flows
shook her
endlessly.
head, touching
No,
lives we may
please,
never see.
sit with me for a moment.
And that's the truth.
Mara
behind wealth.
hesitated.
It
Then
isn't
obeyed.
counted in coins
The
or
two
contracts,
women sat
but
by
in
the
hearts
fire,
touched by
the sound of
compassion.
rain whispering against
in a
the
world
tall
chasing
windows.
gold, the purest
I have
treasure
spent
is a
my
kind
life
heart.
chasing languages that no
This was
longer
the
have
gift of
speakers.
kindness. Eleanor
A true
said,
reminder that even the
I thought
smallest
if I
could
could decode
decode
them,
forever.
I'd understand humanity
If this
better.
story touched your heart,
But your
give it
daughter,
a like.
she
Share
didn't
it with
decode.
someone who needs
She
hope
simply
today.
listened.
And remember,
Mara's
the
gaze
world
drifted
changes
to one
Amara.
act of honesty
She
at a
listens
time.
to everything.
You're
even
watching
the
Black
silence.
Inside 2.0.
She says it has color.
Stories that touch the
Eleanor
soul.
smiled faintly.
Don't forget
That's
to
what
hit
makes her
subscribe
rare.
and join
For a
our
while they
family of
simply watched the
kindness.
flames, each lost in thought. Then, almost to herself, Eleanor whispered, "You know, when I saw her reading that parchment, I felt something I haven't felt in years. Wonder, the kind that makes you feel small in the best way." Mara nodded. She does that to people. A soft sound broke their stillness, Amara stirring awake. She blinked at the firelight, confused for a moment, then smiled sleepily. "Did the rain stop?" "Not yet," Eleanor said. "But it's softer now." Amara stood, crossing to the table where the parchment lay. "May I see it again?" Eleanor hesitated, then nodded. The girl's fingers traced one of the symbols. "This one means remember, but not just in words. It means to carry something in your heart." Mara watched her daughter in awe. "How do you know?" Amara shrugged. "It feels like that." Eleanor exhaled. "You may not realize it, child, but you've given these words back their meaning." Amara looked up at her, shy but steady. Maybe they were just waiting. The simplicity of it disarmed Eleanor. Waiting, yes, waiting for someone to listen without pride, to hear without needing to own. That was what scholarship was supposed to be. She turned back to Mara. "May I see to her education? Not as an experiment, but as a promise. She deserves every door open to her." Mara's eyes widened. "You mean, yes, there's a scholarship program through the Athenaeum. If she wishes, she'll never want for opportunity again." Tears welled in Mara's eyes, but Amara only smiled. "I don't need anything big," she said softly. "Just books, and time to read them." Eleanor laughed gently. Books and time, the rarest treasures. They sat together as the fire burned low. The noise of the city faded until there was only the quiet rhythm of rain and the slow, steady breathing of a child who had changed everything without trying to. Outside, dawn began to stretch pale fingers across the sky. The clouds broke, and the first light touched the wet cobblestones, turning them to silver. Eleanor rose and looked out the window. "Do you remember what you said when you read the last line of the manuscript?" she asked. Amara thought for a moment, then recited, "Greater than, the world will remember its forgotten children, for within their silence lies the key to the dawn." Eleanor nodded. "You were the dawn, Amara." The girl looked puzzled. I just said what I heard, and that, the professor said, is exactly what the world needs most. The fire crackled one last time before sinking into embers. The hall that had once echoed with applause now held something gentler, a shared stillness, a recognition that brilliance can whisper as softly as a child's voice. Mara took her daughter's hand, and together they turned toward the door. Before leaving, Amara looked back at the table where the parchment lay. The letters shimmered faintly in the morning light, as if thanking her. Eleanor watched them go. She felt no envy, no fear of being overshadowed, only gratitude. For the first time, she truly understood the language she had spent her life chasing, not the tongue of lost empires but the universal voice of wonder. As the doors closed behind mother and daughter, the rain stopped completely. A single beam of sunlight fell across the table, lighting the parchment like a page newly written. Eleanor whispered to the empty room, "Let the world listen."